San Francisco 49ers with a 32-13 win over the New York Jets on Monday Night Football to wrap up Week 1 of the NFL season. You know, New York had a touchdown in the first quarter on Monday night. Remarkably, last season, the Jets had to wait until Week 5 before they recorded a single point in the first quarter. Next week, the Jets are in Tennessee. San Francisco will be in Minnesota. For more reaction to this Niners win, this Jets loss, here's Farhan Lalji, our NFL reporter at Santa Clara, California, hanging out at the field. Farhan, great to see you. First of all, Aaron Rodgers, 167 yards, a TD, an interception in his first game back. But overall, do you think maybe the Jets and Robert Saleh were a bit too cautious with the future Hall of Famer?
Yeah, I think they were conservative. There's no doubt about it. I mean, in the first half, he had 64 yards passing, and virtually all of it came on that first quarter touchdown drive. And you could see early on in the first drive, and then later on after that drive, which they really weren't able to build on, it was a lot of quick passes, get it out of his hand as soon as possible, screen game a little bit, and they tried to establish Breece Hall, which didn't really work itself out. So, you know, ultimately, I think this offense is going to get better. But right now, it looked conservative. Even early on, I got the sense that Rodgers himself wanted to get it out quickly as soon as he faced any kind of pressure. He took the one sack by Leonard Floyd. That came in the second quarter, and I think after that, he probably settled in a little bit. Then in the second half, he had the 100 yards passing. 64 of those yards, or 62, I should say, came on two plays to Allen Lazard back-to-back, and one of those came when the defensive player for San Francisco was so far offside, it looked like half of San Francisco's defense stopped, and that was after the score was already 26-7, so the game had gotten out of reach at that point. So really, while this game was meaningful and close, outside of that one drive in the first quarter, they just couldn't get in sync.
On the other side of the football, man, the Niners look great. And Christian McCaffrey was supposed to play. He's a late scratch with that calf injury. He's been battling all camp. And Jordan Mason just comes in and fills in beautifully, doesn't he?
Yeah, and this is a good story. This guy was an undrafted free agent out of Georgia Tech 2 years ago. He's been on the team the last couple of years. He's had a little bit of playing time, around 40 carries a year ago throughout the entire season. And they've liked what he's done in camp because Christian McCaffrey barely took part in any of training camp. And this guy stepped in and he stepped up and he got stronger as the game went. And you could see in the second quarter and in the third quarter, they would lean on him for 3 and 4 carries in a row. It's not just the fact that he was around 150 yards. It was that he carried the ball 28 times in this game. So when they got up, they were able to close it out with him. And this is a really important thing for the Niners, even when Christian McCaffrey gets back, because they don't have Elijah Mitchell this year. So just that depth piece isn't there, and sometimes they would use Mitchell and McCaffrey at the same time so they could have their run threat and move McCaffrey out into the slot. Now they've got another piece that they might be able to do that with, so it keeps this team multiple and versatile as they go forward. And when you talk about calves, which potentially lead to Achilles, you need to be conservative with a guy as good as Christian McCaffrey.
So let's get back to the Jets for a second, Farhan. After what you saw on Monday night, what concerns you more going into Week 2, the Jets offense or the Jets defense?
Quite frankly, the Jets defense, because when you look at what this team did offensively, you know it's going to take time. Defenses are generally ahead of offenses. Allen Lazard was somebody that Aaron Rodgers was quite comfortable with, but he needed to get more comfortable with Garrett Wilson. Breece Hall behind 3 new offensive linemen. You've got to learn your blocks. But defensively, the 49ers scored on 8 straight drives. They got a stop on the very first drive of the game, and then after that, they could never get off the field. Whether it was a field goal or a touchdown, San Francisco was able to control not just the yardage and first downs, but they were able to control the clock over 38 minutes time of possession. So that's an indictment if you're New York, because that defense is supposed to be championship caliber now. We know how good Sauce Gardner is, but that defensive line was supposed to have a lot of depth, just 1 sack and minimal pressure on Brock Purdy. If I'm Hassan Reddick and I'm watching this one, my leverage just went up. You want to get this guy into the lineup as soon as possible, because that defense, to me, was the much bigger concern given their pedigree, their experience, and the expectations for that group coming into the year.
Farhan, we're used to seeing you report so admirably on the NFL, on the CFL, on the Canucks. You're always working hard, but what we don't maybe know, I know, but what the viewers might not know is Farhan behind the scenes. Like, for instance, when Canada's only Grand Slam singles tennis champion Bianca Andreescu shows up. You're just so charming. She couldn't wait to chat with you, buddy.
Well, who could blame her? But I couldn't wait to chat with her. She's just a charming individual. She's had a bit of a back injury, and now she's got her season over. She's getting ready for the offseason and to train to get ready for next year. And there's some other events overseas. So it was very enlightening talking to her. You know, she probably knows Mark Masters, right? I mean, he's the tennis guy, and I'm the other guy. But I think after this one, I think, you know, Bianca and I were pretty tight. Sorry, Mark.
Yeah, sorry, Masters. You're out. Farhan's in. That's just the way it is. Up next for the Jets, they're heading to Nashville to take on the Titans, and the Niners will face Minnesota on Sunday in week number 2. Farhan Lalji, you're the best. Thanks for this. Get home safe, okay?
Thanks, pal.
Don't forget, week 2 kicks off with a beautiful AFC East battle between the Bills and the Finns. Now, this is the good news for everyone in the Mafia. Josh Allen has been cleared to practice and will play in this game on Thursday night. Remember, he injured his non-throwing hand after landing on it in Sunday's win against the Arizona Cardinals. You can see the game beginning at 7 Eastern. Our show with Luke Wilson will follow the game.